Hello, folks. Sorry, I'm having a bit of problem with internet here. Welcome to the Rangers Rabble. I've no idea what just happened to Alex. He was with us, but anyway, folks, I'm joined by Mark. Alex's internet's just went down. He just messages there. Wee bit some technical difficulties all around. Sorry, my internet seemed to flag there as well, and I've absolutely no idea. The intro didn't work either. There was no sound, so terrible start. But hopefully, we can pick it up as we go. Mark, Scott, how are we, guys?
We're fine, Alan. We're fine.
Good. I feel like we're saying this every week when we come onto the podcast, but Mark, another massive week ahead for Rangers.
Yeah, brilliant, isn't it? It's absolutely fantastic. I thought, it was doom and gloom, wasn't it? It was suicidal. Suicide Watch bloody a week and a half ago, and all of a sudden, it's yet again another massive week. And I say it all the time, it's why we love the game. Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello to everybody that's joining us in the comments. South Wales, Los Angeles, everybody around Scotland, around the UK. Ian Ross, evening guys. Hope you're well. A big week ahead for the famous. Yeah, Kurt, we are now joined by Alex. What, internet working all right, mate?
Yeah, that's what you get when you live in the Highlands.
Yeah, I think there's a few.
I'd dial you up.
I think there's a few on the rabble that are going to have to be looking for new internet providers. Myself included, our own Wilf, and of course Mr. Rabble himself. I think that's going to be our project in the close seasons, looking for new providers. But anyway, Alex, I was just saying to the guys, another massive week for Rangers. I nearly said for the Rabble there. It is for the Rabble, but it's for Rangers primarily.
Yeah, depending on how the results go, it depends on the views too, doesn't it? So it can be, huge week for Rangers, isn't it? I mean, it's our biggest week since 2 weeks ago, and that's not to downplay it. It's just the games are getting bigger as we continue.
Yeah, Kurt, this is what it's all about, isn't it? This is why we're Rangers fans.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be successful, Alan, this is the time you want to be involved in maybe 2 games a week. If you're at the end of the season, you're still playing in Europe, which doesn't happen to many clubs, to be fair. And it's good to see the Champions League semi-finals getting played on the TV, Europa League finals getting advertised on TV and being mentioned. It's a big boost, and I know we keep going back, but I mean, the way we've come from, and I know we always say it because of what's happened, but it's a big boost for us as fans. But as a club, when we got to Manchester, I thought I'll never see this again, but there we go. We're here. I'm not saying we're at the final just yet. We're here. And I never thought it would be another European semi-final, but we are.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. Of course, the Leipzig game is going to be massive. Curry Munshort, one of our regulars, happy birthday, mate. I hope you had a great day yesterday, and I hope Rangers give you an even better week. Friend stealing CGM's patter, good evening. Come on, he's not going to be happy with that. Oh dear. The comments could be interesting tonight. So a massive week, Mark, as Kerr said, and I was the same. I never thought I'd see this again in my lifetime. It was incredible in 2008. I saw somebody mention it on Twitter yesterday. Probably never appreciated it at the time in 2008 quite as much. Do you think the Rangers? Do you think we, as a support, we were like that in general, or was it just me?
No, I think it was massive. 2008 was huge, absolutely huge. I mean, all you've got to do is look at the numbers that went there. Down to Manchester, I don't think it was empty left in Glasgow or freaking the west of Scotland. everybody in the Atlantic was there. But I think this feels bigger. I think this, and to be in my mind, it is bigger. I think purely for, I know we'll say it again, and I don't want to just keep ringing this out and ringing it out, but as I said, 5-10 years ago, I didn't think I would see anything anywhere near this. And I think that probably even looking at sort of wee clips and stuff like that, I know UEFA put out a wee clip about Rangers getting to the semi and stuff, and it's proper emotional. I mean, I have a wee lump in my throat just watching these things. So I think we can't underestimate how big this is, especially with the team that we've got. Don't get me wrong, we've got a lot of good players, but it's probably cost us absolutely nothing. I mean, realistically, in the grand scale of things, the amount of money that we've spent in that team for them to be in a semi-final, a major European cup is just outstanding. As I said, it's just breathtaking. So I think probably 2008 was wow, but this is just something completely different, special. And I mean, why not? Let's go for it. As I said, it's anybody's game now. It's 2 games and we're there.
Yeah. Alex, as Mark said there, and CGM said it as well 5 years ago, Ian said it as well 5 years ago, we probably never thought this would be possible. But Ian Ross is telling us there that our coefficient was 254 5 years ago. Today it's 34. You know, it's a testament really to the hard work that's been put in at the club by people like Steven Gerrard, for example. I know that, we were all absolutely fuming and gutted and raging and, however you were feeling when he left to go to Aston Villa. And then Van Bronckhorst has come in and continued that work in Europe. But absolute testament to them, and then those 2 guys in particular deserve the credit for this, don't they?
Yeah, I think what can't be underestimated is how Gerrard did in his seasons, in his full seasons in Europe. I mean, the guy took us from the first qualifying round to the group stage. It was the first team to ever go from the first qualifying round to the knockout stages, and that was big. But we've also got to say, especially this season, we had a rough start. We didn't score in the first 2, and we were not looking favourites to go through whatsoever. And we managed to pick up a few points. Okay, we beat Brøndby at home, and then Brøndby away was, it was stale. It wasn't really a lively game. So Gio came in with 2 games to go. It was his first game, and we had to beat Sparta, and we beat them 2-0, and that was it. We were through, and then we went away to Lyon with half a side, realistically, and we went and got a point. And in Europe, the results have been brilliant. When we got drawn against Borussia Dortmund, there's nobody outside of the Rangers fans actually thought we could win this. I actually thought that, never mind being the semi-final, they never thought that we could have got past Borussia Dortmund, apart from myself. And then once we got past them, you still got Red Star Belgrade. That wasn't an easy task. And that was proven over the 2 legs, because although the first leg was 3-0, it was played like it was a basketball game. And then you got Braga, and obviously they would have wanted revenge. And in the first leg, again, we looked stale. We've lost key players like Morelos. It's not been an easy run. And I really, I'm glad for the European run. Okay, the league has been a bit different, but for the European run, I think the change was really refreshing. And I think Gio's tactics have worked better than Gerrard's did.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about this too much right now. We're going to come back to it because I know that the Leipzig game, the European run, is going to take up the vast majority of the conversation this evening, as it should, and I'm really excited to talk about it. Jim Sloan telling us his testimony to the Rangers supporters too. Absolutely. We probably deserve this more than any other support that you could possibly imagine. I know nobody else in Scottish football will tell you that, but I'm going to tell you it. Yeah, so we're going to come back to talk about it. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. Couple of other points that have come up in the news just in the last day or 2. Kerry, you've told me not to come to you about this, so Mark, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you. We'd be like,
Alec, you play Football Manager.
We'd be like with 2 players. Eric Martel, a 19-year-old German who happens to be a Red Bull Leipzig player, but he's on loan at Austria Vienna right now. And Abdoulaye Sissoko, I hope that's how you pronounce his name, 23-year-old midfielder who's at a German club, Zult Waregem. Again, probably not pronouncing that right, but so any heard of either of these 2 players, Mark?
I haven't, no.
That's I'm not going to lie.
Done a wee bit of research on them, but the thing that's probably springs to my mind and probably is more reading behind the scenes is both are defensive midfielders. So for me, that tells you that they're going to need defensive midfielders. So I mean, it's obviously a nod to who's going in the summer, because as I said, you're bringing in another 2. So I don't know. For me, it looks like maybe Kamara's away, and as I said, if you're bringing in 2, it looks like there's at least 2 going to go, maybe more. So, as I said, they're obviously planning ahead. You can link the 2 for me, you're probably. I think I would like to be linked to 2 strikers, 2 left wingers, 2 right wingers, and another centre half. But I did see that the German boy, he can play centre half as well. But both look pretty accomplished in the ball. Both look big lads. As the young German boy, especially, he looks about 6'3". He's massive. He's a big lad. So physicality wise, I think it would fit right in, and he seems to have a good range of passing. The other boy looks as if he's more of a box to box than a central defensive mid. So he looks as if he can score goals. So as I said, both of them look all right, but let's face it, YouTube, I could look like a world beater on YouTube, can I?
Yeah, well, we've all fell for this before. We've all went and watched videos of players and thought, oh my God, he's incredible, but you know what happens. Alex, Eric Martel particularly caught my eye, as Mark says, complete centre back. That I found that interesting. I thought that told a story in itself. He's been linked with Union Berlin, Cologne, both doing relatively well in the German setup at the minute. It was linked with Manchester United, allegedly, in January as well. I found a couple of news outlets saying that, but I don't know how reliable these news outlets were. But he's at 19-year-old. He's already played for the German under-21s, as well as under-19s, but under-21s. So, you know, he's obviously quite highly thought of in Germany. You're on mute. Come on, Alex. It's been a bad start.
Germany have a good kind of grassroots system for their youth players, and this guy obviously came through the Leipzig academy and is now on loan at Austria Vienna. Can't say I watch much of their football at all, or any at all, sorry, but you know, he's still getting a chance, and they'll be loaning him out. They'll be watching him. Other German teams will be watching him. Again, it's just a lot of players that we have are quite versatile, but I like versatile players. I like, you know, the players like Bassi, Sands, who can play multiple positions, but what we need now is somebody who's really good in one position rather than somebody who's all right in a couple of positions. So again, like I said, I haven't seen them enough to comment and say that he's not good enough or whatever, but Martel is he's somebody who can play centre back, and that is one of our positions that we need to strengthen, but it's not something we need to strengthen the rotational players of. It's something we need to strengthen from the get-go, like, you know, our top players. If Goldson leaves, if Balogun leaves, with injury-prone Hellander, you need, you know, that's one of the big places that we're gonna need to go for. And then Sissoko, again, we've got quite a few midfielders, so to improve the midfield, you know, yes, good, I'm glad, but again, rotational players wise, I'm just not sure we need them.
Yeah, Kerr, it's important that we're going to be bringing in players that instantly improve the first team.
Yeah.
We've built a squad now over the past couple of years, but we need to improve the first team drastically. It's got to be the priority, is it?
We need to bring players in ready to play. I know boy Martel could probably come in if it didn't cost much and go into the academy as well into the academy team, and then like Kelly McCann's been doing. The other lads, I don't know, has he 23 or something, the boy Sissoko?
Yeah.
So I think if he come in, you just hope it's not like Koulibaly situation when he comes in. He's not really much better than we've already got. And I don't want to always be ranked with midfielders. And to be honest with you, you don't need tons of defensive midfielders for the SPL. I'm sorry, but you don't. I think we just need players. And if some players are going to leave, we just need to improve the position wise. And plus, Lowry's coming through, McCann, they should be given a chance next season. We should be trying to get these guys in the side instead of getting out and paying money for guys that we don't really know a lot about. I know obviously the recruitment staff will do their homework, but we know what Alec Lowry can do. So give him a chance. But we do need to bring players in. We do need centre backs. We probably need maybe a full back if Borna leaves. We also need probably a couple of wingers. I don't know if Ryan Kent, if he doesn't sign a new deal, he might be away, and we need a couple of strikers. So defensive midfield's not top of my list, I'm afraid.
No, and you know, that's as Kerr says about, you know, we've got the young players there as well that are coming through. Mark, it seems to be the feelings in the comments as well. You know, we want to promote our own young players, our academy players. We want to see them coming in. Do you think we'll see a blend of that?
I would like to think so. I mean, Gio's in the past used a lot of young players in in Feyenoord and stuff. So I would like to see him starting to sprinkle whatever players he brings in with the youth. I think some of them are good enough. Definitely, we've been waxed lyrical about Lowry, so I think it's well documented, and it's not even just a case of we think he could be good. We know how good he is. We've seen him do it. So it's not he's come in and he's performed and he's not looked out of place at all. In fact, if the other side of the coin, he's actually looked better than it was on the park a couple of times. So the wee guy can do it. I have no qualms with flinging him in and blooding him more. I would like to see him sprinkle youth. I mean, we all would. Let's face it, we all have a homegrown player. So, but it's one of those ones that it's trying to find that balance with winning games, winning leagues, winning trophies, doing well in Europe, and trying to blood youth. It's hard. It's really hard. And the problem is as well, us as fans, Rangers fans are fickle. So one minute, well, blood the youth, and then we drop points in 2 games because we're trying to blood youth, and all of a sudden, why are we playing these young boys? So you can't win. But for me, I would 100%. I would try and sprinkle some youth through the side and get them blooded, get them maybe 15 or 16 games this season, whether it be for the bench or maybe 6 or 7 starts. I think that's the way to go. It's the only way you're going to work in this environment because we can't afford to bring in big players.
Yeah, and you know, from the youth setup, we saw under Van Bronckhorst, you know, Kings came back into the setup and being involved, as you mentioned, Lowry and McCann as well. And you know, we seem to have loads of fans screaming out for people like Cole McKinnon, Tony Weston. To be honest, I thought Tony Weston might have made a wee sub appearance in the last couple of weeks. Was having a striker issue. But you know, I think I agree. I think Van Bronckhorst is going to bring those players on and give them a chance. I suppose that's all we really ask for, Alex, isn't it? It's just give these players a chance. Don't just write them off. Bring them in, but bring them in at the right time as well.
Yeah, especially with you know, obviously it's nowhere near our level, but the boys are playing men's football this year, and that makes a huge difference because they're going to learn the physical side a little bit more. Okay, it's not, you know, to the standard or the quality of what we've got, but by no means is it any less than, you know, what you'd be playing if you were playing the B teams of, you know, Aberdeen, Hearts, etc., because they're all the players the same age to develop. That's why, you know, players end up going out on loan, and we've got not so much a loan army, but we've got a lot of people who are out on loan in, say, the Championship, and a couple down in England, like Stephen Kelly. The comments were mentioning. These guys have got to come back as well, and if they don't find their place, we've got to move them on. So there's a lot to take in, especially, you know, we've just had the award ceremony. I think Charlie McCann comes away with one of the awards. That's one of the guys who excites me. He's been brought in for the future, and hopefully the future is sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and you know, we see regular business happening on the Rangers website and Rangers social media feeds that we're signing players to put into the youth setup in the B team as well. So it's obviously something that we're looking at improving. So that's the 2 players we linked to. Sissoko as well. You know, strong rumours that Panathinaikos are interested in him, but also equally strong rumours that the deal's already done, that he's been to Ibrox, that he signed the contract. Although I did read that his current club, he's out of contract at the end of the season, and they're hopeful that he'll sign a new contract. Where have we heard that before, Kerr? Seems to be a story over Europe. Anyway, so that's the 2 players. If anybody else is, by the way, if anybody in the comments, if you've heard any rumours, realistic rumours, come on, keep it sensible. Players we've been linked with that we've no smoke about, let us know, and we can, you know, we'll maybe not discuss it tonight, but we'll maybe look them up and have a wee chat about them, because we all like a transfer rumour at the end of the day, don't we? So, other news coming out of Ibrox. I'm not going to go into much detail on it, but I just want to congratulate the Rangers women's team making their bow at Ibrox. Massive care, isn't it, for the club, because they are part of the club.
Yeah.
And it's massive for the women's game, and great to see them getting that recognition.
It was great. It was a good turnout. I thought it would have been more. I went myself and my wife, and it was good. There was a lot of kids there watching, and the Union Bears showed up. They were behind the goals, and they produced a great atmosphere. I actually liked them better sitting in the middle behind the goals than I do in the corner, because the atmosphere was really good. but they put on a good show, and it was actually a decent game of football. And I know some folk don't like it still because they say it's not as good as the men's, and everybody's got an opinion. But I think it was a good game of football, and it'd be good to see them back playing there and fans turning out, because as long as the Rangers team playing, and like we know, one of the lads in the pod, Willie, he goes to all the junior games, he goes for Rangers under 8s, the academy teams. As long as the Rangers team playing, the fans should go and watch him in the cup finals tomorrow night, and I'm hoping to try and get along to that as well. So under 18, so it's good to see this, and it's good for the ladies because they've been playing for a while, and I
Is
think
under
it's been
18s
10
on the
years.
TV?
I'm not sure. I think it may be in Rangers TV, but I'm not sure. But it's good for the women because I think that was just their first game at Ibrox as a professional side. They played there once before when they first started, but that was their first game at Ibrox as a professional side, and it was a good game. And a lot of women in the team were Rangers fans growing up, so it's good to see them getting to kind of live their dream. It'd be good to see them back at Ibrox at some point playing another game.
Yeah, I spotted that on social media as well. A lot of the women, posting pictures when they were kids in Rangers tops, and I like to see that as well. It's, as I say, they are part of the club, just like the B team is. And I never saw the game on Sunday, but I've been to the B team games myself, and as I've said in these podcasts before, get along and watch them. There's some good footballers on show. Hopefully, the next generation, folks. But I've quite enjoyed going to Dumbarton and watching the B team, having some chats with Willie. Who's so knowledgeable about the Rangers youth setup. Been really good to hear some of his stories and pick his brains and ask him some questions. But yeah, get along and watch the B team because they are part of the club. It's not just about, obviously we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the first team, but it's not just about the first team anymore. Football's developing, it's the 21st century. I don't know if we'll consistently see women's games or even B team games at Ibrox, because I don't know if any pitch in the world could handle that amount of first team football through the season. But it's good to see them get a shot and go out and hopefully it will become more regular in the future. Anyway, I just wanted to pick up on that. And the guys, Martin had hosted a podcast after the women's game. Really good viewing. Really good conversations. Please go and check that out as well if you want to learn more about the women's team as well. And if you want to know more about the women's team throughout next season, let us know as well. Mention it in the comments, because if you want us to do it, we will do it. So please let us know. Another bit of news that really pissed me off today, Alex. So as I've mentioned in podcasts before, right, I've got a soft spot for Arsenal. Got a few mates that are Arsenal fans. Been to the Emirates loads of times, a few times anyway, to watch Arsenal. Like getting the flight down, going and watching the game. But today Rangers announced a friendly with Tottenham Hotspur. Is that good for the club? In all seriousness, Alex, is it good for the club?
Yeah, it's going to be good for the club. It's Arsenal had their chance last season, Tottenham this season, or Tottenham coming up. It's good to be involved with the big franchise names in England, which is what's called the Big Six. To be involved in a friendly with them because they have their eyes on that game, and then rivals fans also have their eyes on that game, so that if they were to slip up, they can laugh and because that's what English football is all about, is one eye on your own team and the other eye is hoping everybody else is losing. So yeah, they'll be loving that up, and it'll be a decent financial benefit hopefully for Rangers in terms of getting it, and it will also be a good test. It'll be a good test for the players, especially pre-season last year we had Arsenal, we had Real Madrid. It's our 150th anniversary. The big teams are going to be there, so to be able to continue it this year, okay, not so much history in Tottenham, but they are still a big team, or a big franchise with big names who make a lot of money.
Yeah, and I'm not going to take credit for this. I saw somebody mention it on Twitter, Mark. The best player that English football has right now is, or the best English player in the world right now is going to play against Harry Kane. James Tavernier will come up against him.
He's probably got the best numbers.
Yeah.
And as I said, for me, I think you want to see big teams coming here. I mean, you want to see. Obviously, a lot of us don't get a chance to see these guys in the flesh, and obviously, you like to see how well your team's going to do against a Premiership side. So, bring it on. I would get another couple of them up if we can. But the definitely you want to see these big names. As I said, I bet the players all want to test themselves against these big names. So brilliant.
And it's a glamour friendly. It's a glamour tie care because Tottenham Hotspur, they're going to be coming to one of the most iconic stadiums in world football in front of one of the best sets of fans against a team that wins loads of trophies. For them, they've got a soulless stadium that's no purpose built for them. They've not won a trophy for God knows how many years.
This is an Arsenal podcast.
It's a massive. My point is, it is a massive glamour tie for Tottenham. They're playing a team that are in a European semi-final this season. That's huge for them.
That's a huge tie for Tottenham. I will be going to myself. I don't dislike Tottenham at all. I've got a few mates that stay down that way and they're Tottenham fans and they say they're going to try and get up for it. But I go to most of the friendlies, I have to say. I went to the Arsenal one. Didn't go to Madrid one because I think back then was it still under.
I was absolutely gutted I never got a ticket for the Arsenal.
So I think this time it should be fine. Only friendly I've been against Liverpool. I refuse to go and watch them because I just don't like them. So that's another story. But I'll look forward to the game. And like Mark said, it's good for especially all the young people that support Rangers that play FIFA and that on their PlayStation. Like watching people like Harry Kane and Son and stuff like that, because that's how they play on their computer games and stuff. To see them live would be good for them because they're not really going to get that chance because they usually just see them on the TV. So good to see guys like that come to Ibrox and grace the pitch, and these guys will be impressed because we've got an impressive stadium and hopefully we make a kind of count ourselves. But as only a friendly, but it's good to see us attract teams like that, and Spurs should bring a big support. Hopefully Alan goes and he gets his ticket in the middle of the Spurs fans.
No, in all seriousness, it'll be good for the club. And if anybody hasn't already seen it and is interested in getting along, the tickets are going to go on sale after the season ticket renewal deadline has passed in May. So keep your eyes out for that. And hopefully we'll get a good crowd and maybe put some cash in the coffers as well. But yeah, it'll be good to see that level of friendly. Hopefully a nice summer's day at Ibrox. Right, okay. The comments on the settling down about Europe, so let's get back to talking about Europe. Red Bull Leipzig, I forgot who we were playing there. That's shocking. Absolutely forgot who we were playing.
Lisbon, Fiorentina.
Sport Lisbon. We're playing Sport Lisbon. Sorry, folks. Sorry, that was really unprofessional. Alex, what do you know about Red Bull Leipzig? What can you tell us?
Good
Mark,
question.
what can you tell us about Red Bull Leipzig?
No, I've been across to Dortmund a couple of times. It's been a few years, but I've been across to Dortmund a couple of times, and it was much when Leipzig were just coming up. My first ever game at Dortmund, they were on some kind of like 50-60 game unbeaten run at home, and they played Leipzig, and Leipzig beat them. So don't worry, I won't be attending the away leg. But Leipzig are well hated in Germany because they break the rules realistically to the way they are. You've got the 50+1 rule in Germany, which means you can't be represented by a brand as well. So they're not actually called Red Bull Leipzig. They're called Rasenballsport Leipzig. Which is a bit of a shambles because we all know they are Red Bull Leipzig, and it is a mess. But they've got a good team, and they play good football, and it's not, but it's German football, and we should be not customized to it, but we played a similar team in terms of quality. Okay, they've been a bit off the boil this season, but a similar team in terms of quality in Borussia Dortmund. They play a different style, and Leipzig, I think they have quite a few, not of their massive names, but a few key players missing. I mean, I know Kevin Campbell's suspended, and they got a couple other suspensions. I think Orban's missing, and Klosterman's just back from injury, so he may not play as well. So they're without a few of their first team players, but that's not to say they're not a good team.
Kerr, the three that are suspended are Campbell, Orban, and Simikin, who I know you know hunters about, but before we get on to talk about them individually, they all appear to be defensive players. Is that going to suit us for the fact that we've got so many attacking players that are going to be missing as well?
It's going to be an 0-0, is that what you're saying?
I take it.
Right, yeah.
Listen, we're in the semi-final. It doesn't matter who's missing, who's not. It's going to be a tough game. but hopefully we go through, because I think for some reason I just feel we're going to get to this final. I touch wood, but I just feel we are. I just feel it's some reason we're going to do it, but it will be a hard game. They're not a bad side. We beat Dortmund, which I didn't expect, so I just feel we should. Don't know, I just get something in my bones that just tells me we're going to do it. And just to mention to Jim mentioning there, I don't like Barcelona, Jim, I don't like Liverpool, and I don't like Celtic. That's the three teams I detest, and it's never changing.
Jim, I think you might have found a trigger point for Ken. We'll need to keep an eye on that. Mark, Alex touched on some of the players that have got there. Yusuf Poulsen, 66 Danish caps. Andre Silva, 49 Portuguese caps, and Christopher, name I can't pronounce, so I'm not going to attempt it. Who was brought in for PSG a couple of years ago. That's probably going to be their front three. Mostly them household names, if you know how to pronounce them.
No idea who any of them are.
No idea who any of them are. Wow. I thought Poulsen and Silva were pretty well known, but I might be wrong. But what we do know about them is, 66 Danish caps, 49 Portuguese caps, between the two, Poulsen and Silva. They can't be bad players. It's going to be exciting. Of course, it's going to be exciting to watch our players come up against them, but it's going to be dangerous.
Yeah, what I've kind of read about them is they're very, very dangerous going forward. I think they attack with pace, power. So I think that we're really going to need to be on the ball. I hear that they're not that great. They're a wee bit susceptible to the counter, which I think probably under our circumstances it's maybe going to play into our hands a wee bit, because we've not got anybody that can hold the ball up. So I think that the way we're going to play it's either over the top, diagonals, or down the channels. So for me, I think that that's the only way we're going to get something at it. But they play a really high press. It's that German thing. I think most of these German teams play a very high press and quite an aggressive press. So we're going to need to try and beat that press, and probably the only way to do it is by sticking a long ball over the top. So I think that if we get any joy, it's going to be on the counter. But they're, from what I've read, very, very dangerous going forward. Very slick, very fast. So as I said, they're going to be dangerous, and they're a right good side. So as I said, we just need to be every single person needs to be at it again. And we know, do you know what? We know they can. We've seen it time and time this season. When they're all at it, I really don't fear anybody, to be perfectly honest with you. I said, we know how we can play, so I think that the likes of Roof and Morelos are massive, massive misses, really, really big misses. And obviously for the out ball, but as I said, they're going to be dangerous, and we just need to be on our toes.
Yeah, Alex, I've not watched many games of Leipzig, I'm not going to lie, but I've tried to catch a wee bit of highlights just to see if I could pick anything out for them. They seem to play, as Mark says, the high press, looks to me like two attacking wing backs. Is that our opportunity? Are our full backs going to have to be in the game, on their game, with these wing backs to allow people like Kent to get in behind them? Is that going to be a tactic here?
Yeah, like I say, they play with, three at the back, and they've got the wing backs, and that can help to suit our system. We've not got a striker, which is a bit difficult, but it can help to suit our system, especially with we've not got a striker, so if our fullbacks can get up a bit more as well. Itten's only there because he knew we were going to play a few German teams in the Europa League this season. That's why they sent him out there. But that Christopher Nkunku is ridiculous, man. I think it's 28 starts in the Bundesliga this season, 17 goals and 13 assists. This is overall the best side we've played so far, but he is the best player we've played so far, the best player we've come across. Jude Bellingham, unbelievable, and he was good against us too. This season, anyway, Christopher Nkunku has been probably the standout in the Bundesliga, and that's not easy considering Bayern have just won 10 in a row. But this guy is linked with all of the clubs in the world. I think now all of them are wanting him, all of them are after him, and he is really an attacking threat. I mean, he got the 2 goals away to Atalanta. Okay, one of them's a penalty, but he got the 2 goals to put them through to this round, and he's like he's like fits in the middle, but he's got a free roll, so he runs about. He can make that pass, and he's so deadly. You know, he can snap onto anything. He's the one that's going to cause real trouble for us. So the midfield need to be disciplined, and that's why, like, I think, you know, we'll hopefully have Lundstrom in there, who can, you know, sit a bit deeper when we're off the ball, especially, and you know, it's going to be more of a defensive side from our point of view, I think, and yeah, their attack is their most devastating part. The midfield doesn't seem to have a big transition. It's not, when these guys build up, it's not one that goes, you know, 45, 50 passes getting one into the other. They're there in seconds. They're a quick team. And that helps with having the wing backs to, you know, you can have them. It turns into a 5 if they need to be a defensive side, and if not, they've got 2 extra people going forward.
Kerr still confident after Alex just told us how good they are?
We beat a lot of sides, good sides this season. We get to the semi-final. Everybody's got a chance, and I don't see why we don't. And I think we'll match them. I think we may go. I think we should play 5 as well at back. And go tight in the middle of the park and just play 1 or 2 through the middle. I don't know what's happening with Sakala. People are saying he's can't go because of the injections. People say I've heard he can go, so we don't know until obviously the teams are announced. But I think we should just go a 3-5-2 myself, or a 5-3-2, and I think we should just sit tight. If we play their game, if we can't go out and attack them, we just have to keep everything basic and don't fear anybody. Because at the end of the day, like I say, when you're beating Borussia Dortmund, which nobody expected, it'll give them a bit of time as well, because in the back of their minds, as they'll be saying, I mean, Rangers got here because they beat a couple of good sides, and they beat Dortmund, who they know well, and so I don't fear them. I think if you play our own game, we take care of ourselves.
Yeah, we've no reason to fear them, because we have played and beaten some really good sides this season in Europe. But Mark, I wanted to talk about their run in Europe as well, just to sort of not compare it to ours, but to see how difficult a run they've had it, and you know, ask the question as to, you know, how difficult have they had it compared to us. So as CGM said in the comments earlier, they started in the Champions League group, finished third behind Man City and PSG. They lost their opening 3 games in that group. You know, it was a win at home to Man City in the last group game that got them into the Europa League. Decent result there, obviously. Of course it is. You're beating Manchester City. Got a draw with PSG as well. But dropping into the Europa League, I forgot, actually. I completely slipped my mind. So they knocked Real Sociedad out in the last 32. They then got a bye. I forgot they drew Spartak Moscow.
That's what they did, yeah.
They've had a massive breaky luck there, haven't they?
100%. I mean, that's, yeah, man, there's no many of them get dished out as their buys in European competitions. So don't get me wrong, they've come up against some proper teams. But I know obviously Alex painted a rosy picture of them, but they get better the weekend. So I know they're a couple of players out, but they're no invincible by any stretch of imagination. So as I said, I think on our day, if we are all at it, that we know we can, I really don't fear anybody. But I mean, at the end of the day, they're a good side, but they're 4th in the league in a minute. So yeah. There's 3 teams better than them, and we've already bet one of those teams that are better than them. So I mean, the league tables don't lie. But as I said, they're a good side, but I really don't fear them. The only thing I fear is the fact that Kel's usually doom and gloom, and he's all optimistic now. So I would usually, anything Kel says, I would bet the opposite. But no, I need to agree with him. So it's obviously that's melted my brain a wee bit. So I don't really. I'm still just going to go for it. I think they're there for a beating. We take them back to Ibrox. We get a draw, or if they beat us 1-0 and we take them back to Ibrox, Ibrox is going to be mental. I mean, proper mental. And these teams, I'll have not seen anything anywhere near like that. We've seen. Well, Braga just froze, didn't they? They got up the park once and scored. So you can't underestimate how big the fans are at Ibrox and how hard that is to play in. So I just think if we can get a decent result over there and take them back to Ibrox, then it's anybody's game. But as I said, I I would right fancies. We get them in Ibrox with a decent scoreline, and I right fancies to do the job.
Yeah, a few people have mentioned that in the comments as well. If we can get a decent scoreline here, a draw, I would take a bite your hand off for a draw right now in the first leg. Get that back to Ibrox. Absolutely anything's possible from then on in. We can really dream. Ibrox would be rocking. But we'll talk about the second leg next week. Right now it's all about the first leg. Mark mentioned that they're sitting fourth in the league at the minute. I had a wee look at their domestic situation as well. Sitting fourth in the league, nothing's guaranteed yet. They've not secured that fourth place Champions League spot. They could, if results really badly go their way in their last 3 league games, drop out of European places altogether. So they need those points in the last 3 games. And similarly to Rangers, they've got a National Cup final 3 days after the Europa League final to prepare for as well. So they've got a lot on their plate as well. A bit like us, they've got a lot on their plate. Is that going to distract them, or do you think, like us, they're going to be focused on Thursday and nothing but Thursday?
No, they'll be well up for it. These guys have to have elite mentality, and you'd expect them to be right up for it at this stage. But so will we, and it's gonna be a really tough fixture, but it's not a tough venue. The crowd isn't. Nobody ever talks about the crowd at Leipzig, and half the people in the home end will be Rangers fans anyway. So, we can still, go across there, and it's going to be something that is a bit different for them. Hugely different for us, but it's a bit different for them. But they seem to be a better team when they're the underdogs, and we seem to have the same thing. So when they're favourites, that helps us. That favours us a lot more. We seem to be the better team when we're the underdog and have the underdog story. They're the same, against Manchester City, against PSG. They put in much better performances than I've seen them put in against other teams. They were the underdogs against Atalanta in the second leg, slightly, not massively, but slightly the underdogs, and they were a lot better. They just outplayed them. So I think when the pressure's off them, the pressure's off their shoulders, I got there eventually. When the pressure's off their shoulders, they'll play a little bit better. The pressure's absolutely on just now, and time will tell how that affects them.
Yeah, I think being underdog suits us going into this game. It takes a bit of pressure off the lads as well. I just want to make a point. I just mentioned there that we are solely focused on Thursday night. We've really lasered in on Thursday night. We are 5 days away from an Old Firm game, and we have not mentioned it once, and nobody's mentioned it once in the comments. Just goes to show how important Thursday night is, Kerr, isn't it?
It does, and I think the players will be the same. I mean, these guys in the Rangers dressing room, they're 4 games away from being legends, and I forget the final will be legends, but 4 games have been. Leipzig won it. They'll be the same, but Rangers are known worldwide. If these guys win a European trophy, for the rest of their lives, doesn't matter where they go in the world, somebody will say to them, remember that final, because there's Rangers fans everywhere. They've got 4 games to prove they're the best, or 3 games, as you say, 2 semi-finals and a final. 3 games to prove they can be the best, and this might be some of them's one and only chance of doing that. Mm-hmm. So there's everything to play for, and the manager knows that, the players will know it. And I think you've seen this season in Europe compared to the league games. I don't know if it's just mentality-wise, but we're tuned in more in European games. We're focused. We're very difficult to beat, especially at home. And so I don't know if people mention the crowd, but even the crowd are at Ibrox. Some of the games at Ibrox, it's just the Union Bears are here singing. The rest of it's quite quiet. But European night, the place is bouncing, and that makes a big difference. I know they're professional footballers and they've seen a lot of stuff, but when that cauldron of noise, it can just put a wee doubt in your mind. And I think you've seen it with some teams. So to me, it's all to play for. And these Rangers players can be legends in 3 games' time.
Just to back up what Kerr's saying there, if these boys get to the final, they'll never need to buy another drink the rest of their life, will
they? Yeah, absolutely. They'll be quite rightly treated as heroes, and so they should at Rangers. But I'm honestly, I'm feared to talk about the final because I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I'm scared in case I jinx it, to be perfectly honest.
Kerr's done that already.
I know. Listen,
blame me, Mark.
I don't know if anybody else feels like this. I'm so nervous about it You know, 1 minute I can picture us lifting the trophy, and then the next minute I imagine us getting slaughtered there in Leipzig. So I'm so nervous, it's unbelievable. I don't know if I can put myself through this until Thursday night, but I'm going to have to. Folks, can't believe we're 45 minutes into the pod, and I haven't said thanks for joining us to everybody. Remember, and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the wee bell on YouTube. Every little bit helps. If you subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, find us on Facebook, wherever you get your social media. And a big thank you, as always, for joining us in the comments and watching us live. As I say, anytime I'm hosting, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So thank you so much. We love talking about Rangers. You love talking about Rangers. Especially in such a big, massive week.
Alan, you have to bring up that comment. I know you don't want to be talking about the final, but you have to bring up that comment about, because I didn't even think about this. UCL pot A if we win the Europa League.
Yeah, I did see that, and I was scared to bring it up as well in case I jinxed it.
If you know, it's a massive if, but that's your anybody else in pot A, your top coefficient from each country, your Champions League winners and all that. That's them out the bid until at least the last 16. That's you know, again, massive if, but it'd be, you know, if we were to do it and then they went and won the league and they went through qualification and got into the group stage, they're going to be in what, pot 4 most likely. They're going to be.
Can we win the semi-final first? I'm honestly I'm terrified to talk about it. Absolutely terrified to talk about it.
I'll back you up this time, Alan. I'll back you up this time.
No, it's a good point. It's, you know, it's a massive incentive. Of course it is, but see, for me, I'm a traditionalist when it comes to football, right? For me, there should be nothing bigger than getting to lift that trophy. So for me, that's the big thing. If we win it, touch wood, if we win it. For me, the biggest thing will be seeing James Tavernier and the Rangers squad lifting that trophy. Getting into Group A or Pot A, the UEFA Champions League draw would just be a nice wee added incentive. I know financially it probably be a lot more, but for me, there's nothing bigger than winning trophies in football. That's why people play the game, and that's what we want to see our teams do. Very quickly, Mark. Starting lineup Thursday night. Give me your back five.
For me, I would put McLaughlin in goals, and purely for the reason that he played against Celtic. They're going to press us high, and he's good with his feet at the ball. So he is going to be pivotal, I think, for us to move the ball quick at the back there and try and beat their press. So he's in goals, I think. Tav. Shoe in, I think. Centre backs, I think he'll start 4-4-2. But if you're asking me for a 5, a Goldson, Balogun, and Bassey, and Barisic on the left. Possibly the only change I would think there is if Lundstrom. I think he'll start at 4 and Lundstrom will drop in. If Balogun doesn't play, but that for me would be my preference. Start with a 4, Lundstrom drop in when needed, rather than actually start with a 5. But for me, it pretty much picks itself.
Well, Keir, that's what I was going to ask you. I'll be honest with you, Mark. I was expecting you to tell me it was going to be McGregor, Barisic, Bassey, Goldson, and Tav. So my next question that I wrote down was: Keir, does the backline pick itself? Clearly, it doesn't. And clearly I can't predict anything. So do you agree with that? Do you agree that McLaughlin's going to start in goals, first of all?
I don't think he'll start, but I would start him. Just for the fact that I don't trust Al McGregor coming out for cross balls, and I think that could cost us. We can't afford to make mistakes at this time of competition. I'm sorry, but we can't. So I think John McLaughlin has to start. You've seen it in the semi-final where he came out for crosses and the defenders seemed more confident because they knew he was coming. Whereas if another keeper's not coming, they're looking at each other. Have you got him? Who's going for this? And sometimes they get standing position to jump for the ball where the strikers get it in. So I think if they know the goal is coming, as you've seen John McLaughlin did a few times, even punching it away, they're more confident. But when the keeper doesn't come, they're nervous in case he can't get it himself. So I think you need to play John. I would play Balogun, Golson and Bassey with two fullbacks, or just obvious fullbacks. I would go pretty much Davis, Jack, and Lundstrom, and just play Kent and Sakala. That's where I would go. I would just sit in, and you've got the two boys up front with pace and the two fullbacks bombing forward, and make it difficult for Leipzig to get any possession. Because if you've got Davis, who's very experienced, and I think he's starting to come into a game, and he's not going to be shattered because he's not played a lot of football. He's got the legs. We know what Jack can do. We know what Lundstrom's done. And your three centre backs. Yeah, my only worry is Balogun is a bit of a bomb skid at times, especially when he's playing on the left and he's right footed. But that's a team I would go. I think that would be good enough because we need a bit of pace. I would go with Sakala and Kent.
Chris, I would agree with you. That's my team. Maybe McLaughlin. I'm open to have my mind changed about that instead of McGregor. But other than that, that'd pretty much be my team. Alex, have you got any pearls of wisdom or any drastic changes you would make to?
No,
the
I've got the one I would say I would stick with a back four as well and have Lundstrom, dropping in. The main one that for me is, especially we saw against Braga, was Ryan Jack coming into right back when we were in possession to allow Tav to bomb forward. So, he has to play in the midfield. Jack has to play, obviously. Lundstrom has to play. Davis's experience is needed. He's key, and he's a lot better in terms of keeping it disciplined, keeping a shape real and good and just strong and keeping people out. And he's a guy as well that can create something from nothing, can pick out the long ball. He's a threat. He is a good player to have, somebody who can thread a needle. And then Sakala and Ken, and it's just so hard to pick. Sakala's best on the left, obviously, a lot better than he is on the right, but Kent is obviously the best player there.
Yeah.
Sakala still is a threat, but as we saw away to Braga, not really through the middle because he just runs and hopes for the best. And that's a little bit more effective when you're on the wing than when you're through the middle. But then you've got somebody's got to go through the middle. So then you've probably got I like Scott's thinking of having Sakala and Kent both through the middle and running at them pace and the fullbacks going. But like I say, I want a back four. So then I struggle, and I think
Arfield as a false nine then.
No, I'd if you were going to play a false nine, for whatever reason it is, I'd rather maybe even I don't think he would try it, but I'd like to see Aribo maybe in that role. But I think it'll probably be Aribo out on the right and then Sakala through the middle. It's just as well as he was.
Right deserve a start.
This is what I was about to say was in the first half he was meh, but when he got moved a little bit more central and in the second half against Motherwell and when he came on against Celtic he was a threat, but he's got to be in the debate, and he is probably our most natural right winger. Joe isn't a right winger, and he's kind of forced to play a little bit out of position when he's there. So, I'm glad it's not me picking the team, because I'll be getting a few tweets.
I'm glad it's not any of us because we're clearly not going to agree on a starting lineup.
But mine is right, so it doesn't really matter.
You know what? And the Scott Wright one's an interesting one for me as well. Scott Wright, I think he's done really well in his last couple of appearances. For us, he's came on and he's done a job, and we should be expecting him to be able to do a job, especially against teams like Motherwell, without being disrespectful to Motherwell. I don't know if this is the kind of game though to give him a starting berth because he deserves a wee shot in the team. It's just we've got to go with what we know we can perform on the night, as far as I'm concerned. And Wright, he might do a better job coming in off the bench, but you know what, folks? That's why we have these podcasts, because we like to debate these kind of things. And I want to see everybody's predictions as always. Goals, goal scorers, results. Let us know. Guys, I want to come on as well. We're 54 minutes into our pod, 5 days before an Old Firm game. We've not spoken about it yet, so let's come on and talk about it just quickly. We do have the last Old Firm game of the season on Sunday. Mark, last chance saloon for Rangers?
Very much so. I think it's a must-win. I think that if you don't win on Sunday, I think it's a play the kids for the rest of the season. and try your best to win this Europa. I think that's your only option.
Alec, you've got your hands up. Do you want to ask a question?
No stressing.
All right, okay. Sorry, Mark, when you go.
For me, must win. And I think even if we do win it, I can't see them dropping. 3 games to go. I can't see them dropping points. We're needing, even if we beat them, we're needing snookers, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
And I would personally, I know it's probably, I don't think I've ever uttered these words in 45 years I've been on this earth, but I would concentrate in Europe. As I said, I can't see us catching them. For me, even if we drop points, I'll care and it'll hurt me and I'll be depressed. But I think somebody said in the comments we've got bigger fish to fry at the minute, and that's testament to this team that we're talking about Old Firm games and we're saying bigger fish to fry than the Old Firm game.
Yep.
So,
Alex, would you agree with that? Are we throwing all our eggs into the European basket at the minute?
Yeah, we've got. This sounds so strange, but there's more of a chance of us coming away with something in Europe now at this stage. For me, anyway, I think there's more of a chance of us coming, because, like I say, even if we, like Mark said, even if we beat them, they need to go and drop points elsewhere. And I thought our best shot was for them to drop points in Dingwall. I thought that was the only place that they might struggle, and they dealt with it pretty. I don't think Ross County showed up on the day. Not the Ross County side that we dropped points to anyway. But we've kind of put ourselves into second. They've not stormed the league whatsoever. We've absolutely put ourselves into second place here. And now we've got to go and make the most of what we can with the season, because we do have, Mark said it, the comments are saying it, we have bigger fish to fry. If we can get to a European final, it's a lot bigger. These 2 of the 3 games that we have in the next, 10 days, there's 2, that is the third most important one. And, I'm total agreement with Mark. I'll absolutely hate it if they beat us, or if we drop points. Even if we don't win, I'll hate it. I will hate it so much. But that's just what it is as a Rangers fan. You hate it every game, and you want to win every single game. But at this stage, to go and potentially, have a chance, have a 50-50 chance, or be in the final of the Europa League it's more important, especially at this stage where we know what we know so far.
Yeah. I was sort of in agreement with Alex that I was kind of my last chance alone really was hoping that Celtic were going to drop points in Dingwall. Was that a common feeling amongst the Rangers support?
I thought the league was finished a while back, to be honest with you, Alan. After they beat us at Celtic Park, we were on a downslide, and then when the game at Ibrox was finished, it was over. But we done it ourselves. They're not any better than us, to be fair. We're still a better side, I believe. But obviously, if we win the league, it doesn't look that way. But we've done that point swing ourselves, so we can only look back and blame ourselves. I think I was critical of Gio at the start when he came in. I thought Europe was fine, but the league didn't know what to do sometimes. But the last few weeks, he's tweaked our things better, and we've looked more consistent, and we've looked a better shape. So we won him over, and I think he's going to go on. I would definitely give him next season to see how he goes, because I think he's actually improving the way he does. I think he's getting to know his players better. But we have to look at ourselves. The league's over. They're going to win the league. So on Sunday, I would just, depending on the result on Thursday, right enough, but I would just play the academy team, honestly. I would rest every first team player and let them have their kid on party, whatever they want to call it, and we just go there for a sing song and let the boys, because there's a lot of academy players who go out there and show them up, because I know a lot of academy players don't like them either. So to be honest with you, we've bigger fish to fry this season in Celtic. It shouldn't be, because in my eyes we should be winning the league, because we should have been winning the league with that 6 point lead we had, but we threw it away ourselves. Yeah, they've done well, no losing any games since Christmas, whatever, but we've dropped far too many points, and that's one of the reasons I want John McLaughlin in goals as well tomorrow night. Thursday night, I should say.
We've been our own worst enemy domestically, Mark. Sorry, in the league, not domestically. That's unfair because we're in the Scottish Cup final since Christmas. But yeah, I mean, it's so strange saying it, isn't it? It's a strange conversation to have, but it's a good conversation to have. That we've got we want to really, we're now coming at the end of April, start of May, and we really want to concentrate on our European push. Van Bronckhorst is through this European run and reaching the Scottish Cup final, which hopefully we will win. Has he earned the right to be here next season after some people were questioning it, including people on this pod, me.
I think so, and you know what? I would have gave him time as well. I'm very much against this. See this kind of culture that we've got now, that if you're not doing it within 6 games, get shot at you and all that. That drives me insane. All you got to do is look at what Steven Gerrard get time. I mean, first year of Steven Gerrard, we weren't great. Second year, we've seen improvement. Third year, we won it. So. I think that I said it in other podcasts as well, that if we get put out of Europe, we get better off of them in the league, and we get better off of them in the Scottish Cup. I couldn't see how he would keep his job, to be perfectly honest with you, and probably that's just me looking at the bigger picture, and that's just how the lay of the land is nowadays with managers. Because I said that I don't think you can go the full season with getting better off of Celtic and keep your job, no matter what you do in between. I think it's been a learning curve for him, but I think he showed probably over the last kind of maybe 2 months that he can learn, and I like the fact that he can change. See mid-game, he's no scared to change formation. He's no scared to change personnel half-time, taking people off, and I like that. I like the fact that he's no too many times we've had managers that have just stuck to it. And
he never done that when he first came in, Mark. But
yeah, I don't understand that. But I think he understands his squad a wee bit better.
Yeah,
and he understands that if certain people aren't doing it, then there's no point in he's not going to do it. You as well. He's having a bad game, take him off.
I think the night it annoyed everybody was the St Johnstone game. He never made a switch.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, but I think that he's shown that he's got a wee bit more tactical now than most have. And I think for me, he's redeemed himself. I mean, we might get pumped out of Europe and pumped after him on Sunday, and everybody's screaming for a fucking head. So you know what I mean, it's just the way the lay of the land is now. Nobody gets time, and it's as I say, it's a results-driven business. But
you're only 2 draws away from a crisis.
Yeah, 100%. But for me, he's done enough, and I've seen enough tactical nous there that give him a chance to bring in some of his own players that he's obviously seeing right, I need somebody for there, I need somebody for here, I need somebody that can do this specific role for me. So give him a chance to get his own team together, let him work, and do you know what? See if he's not good enough, he'll go. Simple as that. But I think he's earned the right, at least for me, moving forward for at least another season.
Yeah, and Mark sort of touched on there, he's got to know his squad better since he came in, and he trusts the squad a lot more. We saw that on Sunday.
Yeah, there was players, especially at the start. I mean, and against St Johnstone is the one that Scott picks out there, and it's absolutely right to do so. He didn't make a single sub, and there were players out there that were they were dead on their legs. They couldn't really carry on, and they were being asked to do a job that they couldn't do, and he didn't trust Scott Wright. It seemed like anyway. He really didn't want to involve him in the attack, and we could predict what the front three was going to be before it was out, and Scott Wright was getting nowhere near that. And he's gone through periods of he didn't trust players, and it was the same with Davis. Davis didn't come in at the start. Okay, he had an injury when he first came in, but then he didn't really get involved. And it seemed to be, it was going to be 8, 9 of them could be predicted every single week. And now, he's using the squad more. He's trusting it a bit better, and that's good, especially with players like Davis. I think Wright had a lot of Rangers fans on his back and probably in agreement with Gio that he wasn't good enough, and now he's come out and found a little bit of form. Okay, it's only a couple of games, but still, he's now got a point to prove. There's players in there that, are getting deserved to be trusted, and now that Gio's, he's using his squad a lot more, it seems to be that the results are a little bit more, or the performances are a little bit more confident, a little bit more flowing, because it's not, you're not dead and just passionate about, like, our field went through a period where, 5 minutes into the game, you could see that he was running on empty. And a few players did. Aribo did, especially when he came back from the African Cup of Nations. So to use the squad a bit better, to use the squad a bit more, there are still players that he doesn't want to use, and rightly so in my opinion with certain ones, Eton. And there's going to be a big changeover in the summer. There's going to be a massive changeover in the summer, and somebody has to lead them through the rebuild. It's an old cliche, but he's not got his players, he's not got his squad, so to speak. He has still got Gerrard's team, the team that Gerrard built, and a lot of those players are going to be moving on in the summer, and that's somebody that I trust in that seat with the rebuild.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's going to be a rebuild. I just hope that he's well backed financially to allow him to do it, because it's something we've not done is splash a great deal of cash in the last couple of windows. Folks, we went well over an hour. I'm going to leave it there. I just want to say before we go, have to all the Bears that are travelling to Germany, have an absolutely fantastic trip. My phone's lighting up. My usual travel partners, I'm not going, but my usual travel partners are some of them travelling tonight, some of them tomorrow. My phone's lighting up. It's going to be going mental all night. Jealousy's ripping out me. But no, honestly, folks, have a great trip. I hope you have some fantastic times, make some really happy memories, and come back with a result that Rangers can turn into a victory next week at Ibrox. On that, have a great week, folks. Here's hoping it's a fantastic one. Come on, Rangers! We'll see you soon, folks.